My name's Mark, and this happened just last winter on a ski trip in Utah. It was supposed to be a reunion with my college friends, Ethan, Kyle, and Ben, and our first real vacation together in years. We booked a cabin near Powder Mountain for 4 nights, just far enough from town to feel peacefully isolated, as Kyle described it. We got there late Thursday evening, unpacked, and were immediately impressed by the place. Rustic log walls, big stone fireplace, wraparound deck with a killer view of the snowy slopes. By the time we settled in, it was already dark, so instead of skiing that night, we cracked open some beers, cooked a big dinner, and played cards until midnight. The next morning, we rented our gear from the mountain and spent all day on the runs. I'm not a bad skier, but compared to Ethan and Kyle, I was slow, so I'd usually be the last one down the slope. That's why it stuck out to me when I noticed someone else who seemed just as clumsy as me. A guy in all black gear who wiped out at least 3 times before reaching the bottom. At first I thought nothing of it, until I realized he kept ending up near me whenever I stopped to catch my breath. At one point on a quieter trail, I was sitting off to the side, tightening my boots when this same guy slid to a stop next to me. He had mirrored goggles and a balaclava covering his face, so I couldn't see a thing except his grin. I could tell he was grinning because the fabric over his mouth stretched. He said, "You shouldn't sit out here alone. People get hurt that way." I laughed it off, mumbled something about meeting my friends, and headed downhill. Later in the afternoon, it happened again. I stopped for water near a tree line, and within a minute, he was there. He didn't say anything this time, just stood about 10 feet away, skis angled toward me. Even though there were other skiers on the slope, it felt like the two of us were alone in the woods. I decided I'd had enough for the day, so I skied down as fast as I could. I never saw him pass me, but when I reached the bottom and headed toward the lodge, I caught a glimpse of black gear in the crowd, just watching. That night, we cooked dinner at the cabin and drank by the fireplace. Outside, snow was falling hard, the kind that swallows up all sound. Around midnight, we called it a night. My room was on the ground floor with a sliding glass door that looked out over the deck. I left the curtains open so I could watch the snow while falling asleep. I woke up sometime after 2 a.m. to a faint crunching noise outside, like boots on fresh snow. At first I thought it was one of the guys getting firewood from the deck, but the footsteps didn't head toward the door. They circled, slow, measured. I propped myself up in bed and kept listening. Then I saw a shadow pass by the glass. Whoever it was didn't look in. They just stopped, inches from the door. The porch light was off, so I could only make out a faint silhouette against the snow. I froze. My phone was on the nightstand, and I slowly reached for it, but before I could dial anyone, the person knocked. 3 slow, heavy knocks on the glass. I couldn't see their face, but I saw the reflection of falling snow shimmer against their black ski goggles. I bolted upright and backed away from the door, heading straight for the hallway to wake Ethan and Kyle. By the time we returned, the deck was empty, but there were fresh footprints leading from the tree line up to the glass, then back into the woods. None of us slept much after that. The next day on the mountain, I kept glancing around, half expecting to see that black-clad skier again. For most of the day, I didn't. But in the late afternoon on our last run, I stopped to tie my glove strap, and when I looked up, there he was, about 30 feet away, standing perfectly still at the edge of the trees. The exact same posture as the night before. I didn't say a word to my friends, I just pointed. But when they turned to look, he was already gone. That night, we pushed furniture in front of all the sliding doors and double-checked every lock. Still, I woke up again in the middle of the night, to the sound of footsteps on the deck. This time, they didn't knock. They just paced, back and forth, for nearly an hour. When we left Sunday morning, the first thing we noticed was that the snow around the cabin was full of tracks. Not animal tracks, but human ones, circling the property over and over again. We never saw his face. I don't know if he was following me from the start or if it was all just coincidence, but I do know this. Nothing ruins a ski trip faster than realizing you're being hunted in the snow.